don't know if Judiciary Committee has jurisdiction over this, and you're a member of that. Catherine Marr at NPR has to be removed. She is an out-of-her-mind left-wing activist, and that's my taxpayer dollars and the taxpayer dollars of Tennesseans going to a propaganda machine which won't even allow liberal people to write freely at their paper, at their platform.
And NPR and public broadcast is something that I have worked on since I was in the House, and accountability for these entities, because they have drifted further and further to the left. And moving them to a platform so that they become a nonprofit. The taxpayer ought not to be funding this activity. And so we are working on this. We're working on reviving some legislation. But, you know, I hear many times, Hugh, and here's a great example. The NPR station in Nashville is over near the Titans football practice stadium. And I have heard so many times from people that live outside of Nashville, they're coming in to watch a practice game. They drive by this station, this public radio station that is like a Taj Mahal of radio stations. And they think about in their hometown, the local radio station is generally a cinder block building with a tower out front, and you've got 2 or 3 people that are running the station. And many times they will comment about this. And same thing for public TV. We have so many different options.
Yeah,
it is
Senator,
important for us to reconsider this.
I worked for PBS for 10 years. I like PBS. I was both national show and their local affiliate, KCET, in LA for a decade. I liked them. But I begged for money for them on air. They have lots of money. They don't need taxpayer dollars when they have a crazy person running the place.
And it is important that we realize if they want to stay free of advertising, then utilize their foundations and their nonprofit status. But the taxpayer does not need to be funding this. Right now, when we talk about infrastructure, we're talking about the need to expand roads and bridges, and the need to be cautious of our national debt and what we are putting our money into. This week, we are looking at what is going to happen with funding for that southern border and how we're going to deal with funding for our ally Israel. What is going to happen around Ukraine, the desperate need for transparency and accountability for the $113 billion we have already spent there.
Well, let's go to that, Senator, because this weekend your old colleagues in the House are going to vote on 4 bills, and then it's going to come over to you as a package: Israel, Taiwan, Ukraine, and the American industrial base. I am a strong yes on all of those, a strong yes. I understand the problems with Ukraine, but we can't do it now with Iran attacking Russia on the move, China preparing to invade Taiwan. A strong yes. What do you think of those 4 votes your House colleagues have to take?
We want to see what they actually send to us. Of course, when it comes to the southern border, the House sent us H.R. 2 in May of last year, and Chuck Schumer and Dick Durbin have chosen to never take it up. Not one hearing, not one discussion. So let's see what happens there. Israel, as you are aware, Hugh, I was on the floor Monday night pushing to fund Israel, go ahead and get that $17.6 billion they need out the door. They have been very prescriptive in what they need that money for. And $4 billion for the Iron Dome, money for mortar resistance, which that's money going into David Sling and Arrow, and money to reinforce security with our embassy that is there. So all of these are components that they can give you the line items. Now, when it comes to Ukraine, there are 3 buckets. The military bucket, no one's really fussing or arguing over that. the two other buckets, which are humanitarian aid and government support. We need to know where that money is and where it is going. When you look at the amount of money that we are putting into Ukraine, then it is important to know where those dollars are. And having military aid move forward, I think that could just about go on a unanimous vote. But it is these other buckets. And
I agree.
It's important to note, we do not want Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, the Ayatollah, or Kim Jong-un to get a victory. No one wants the axis of evil to get a victory, but we have to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollar.
Well, I think that's going to happen. I think that it's going to be, if not 100%, very close to 100% military purchases only. Senator, I got to close with a personal question for you. I think I've talked the fetching Mrs. Hewitt into moving to Tennessee out of the Beltway, because I hate the Beltway so much. But Knoxville's got Schroeder in it, so that's out of the question. And Nashville's crowded. Who has a good airport? Because I move around a lot. I got to do speeches, and I got to go to a market visit. Who's got the best airport that you can get in and out of quickly if I got to go to Maine and D.C. and California?
Well, of course, you've got Memphis, Jackson, Nashville, Chattanooga, Knoxville, Tri-Cities. They all have great airports with good, friendly people, so come on down.
Well, but someone's going to have the right-sized airport, like Portland, Maine. The International Jetport at Portland, Maine is my favorite airport in America because I got 9 gates and 4 TSA people. What's the smallest, best airport? Please don't tell me Knoxville.
Let's see. I think Chattanooga has maybe 8 gates. I'm not sure about that. I think Knoxville maybe has about 12 gates. And trying to pull this off the top of my head.
Don't worry. It's just that Knoxville's got Schroeder in it. And when you put an Indiana in the middle of Tennessee, it's trouble. Senator, I appreciate your taking the time with me. Last question. I want to go back to serious stuff. Do you expect Israel to respond directly at Iran? Should they? And what will you say on the floor of the Senate if they do, if they strike directly at Iran, at its refineries, its nuclear programs, its IRGC headquarters?
What we know is this. Israel needs to do what Israel should do to protect themselves. And they do not need a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks trying to tell them what and how to do.
Well said.